welcome back. Oh, the sun is sunning, honey. Okay. As long as you can see the mug. Y'all, welcome back. All right, for our last session of the day, I know, I can't believe it either. For our last session of the day, we are joined by Johana Duarte, and Joanna's gonna tell us a little bit more about values, identity, and self-awareness. So give Joanna all the love in the chat and these emojis, and have a great session.
Thank you, Michelle Donna. Hey everyone, how's it going? Happy Friday. Later for some of you than me. I'm still in the afternoon in California, but I'm really, really excited to be here with all of you. Um, some of you know me, program manager. I'm helping a lot of you with chapters. So if you want to start chapter, hit me up for sure, because we are so ready to launch even more chapters in the fall. So again, really excited. I think today, I didn't really know what we were going to be talking about in a lot of our sessions, and I will say, like, the honesty, the vulnerability that a lot of our speakers have brought on has been really helpful to help me transition into our session. So I'm very excited. I do want to ask you all for a couple of favors. This is going to be an engagement session. So there will be some times where I'll be like, hey, put it in the chat, which is one of our very beginning things. Or I may be asking you some questions that you'll feel very vulnerable about. So just something to be very mindful. Share as much as you want to, but also, keep things to yourself as much as you can. Because at the end of the day is your story, and when you're ready to tell those stories. We'll be doing some polls, so those will be anonymous, but it will show us a count of people that are voting within those polls. Give me those thumbs up if you're all good with that, so we can go ahead and get started. There we go. I love to see it. It's so great. All right. So great. All right. Awesome. So first and foremost, let's definitely start with why are we here? And we're really, talking about values, identity, and self-awareness. Things to think about. How do you define your own values? So don't necessarily have to answer that, but think about how do you define your own values? And in that sense, what do you need to know in general, specifically to know what those values are? Your values are typically things that you believe are important to in the way that you live and you work. They should help you determine your priorities, right? And deep down, they're probably the measures you use to tell if your life is turning out the way that you want it to be. When things change, or when things that you do and the way that you behave match your values, life is usually pretty good. And you feel really good about yourself and about the way that things are turning out. You're satisfied, you're very content. But when these things don't align, specifically with your personal values, that's when things feel wrong. And you feel that things are out of control or out of hand for yourself. And I think I heard that a lot earlier in some of those chats, right? So this could also be the real source of our own unhappiness. And this is why making conscious effort to identify your values is so important. How many of you, put it in the chat, just give me like a why, put a why. How many of you feel like you know all of your values or are beginning to identify those values? Give me that why in the chat if you're like, hey, it's me. Okay, I see one. I see some coming. Awesome. Yeah, and this is a good place to be. And if you're being challenged by figuring out what your values are, that's totally okay. It's a journey on how we're gonna get there. All right, so everybody, hands on your keyboard. I'm gonna ask you a question. I don't want you to think about it. I want you to type out the very first thing that comes to your mind. Don't think about it. Don't think about it. Just the very first thing that comes to mind. Name a genius. Name a genius. Okay. All right, so I'm seeing lots of Einstein, Newton, Mozart, Elon Musk. Okay. I see. What else do I see? Picasso. Myself. I love that for you. All right. Nicole Tesla trick. All right, awesome. I'm seeing, okay, so I love this. If you scroll through this, though, as they're all coming in, oh, Pharrell Davis, Kanye West, I cannot spell his name. If you scroll through this, the majority of the answers that you are going to see are Einstein. And it's this guy right here. And honestly, that's because our society has taught us that, specifically when we think about a genius, this is the most common person that we think about, right? And so one of the things is our surroundings shape our values, how we identify, and our own self-awareness. But a lot of the time we overlook specifically who we are because of the society that we live in. I think, it was said earlier, like some institutions, and I'm talking about a university that we talked about earlier, it's like, it doesn't seem like they want you to succeed. And as a community for ourselves, we tend to see that a lot, specifically when you look a certain way, when you sound a certain way. Really, the reality is that they want to keep the oppressed continue to be oppressed rather than lifting them up, right? And so this is what that's telling us, specifically with the commonalities that we see. So with that said, I want you to think about what is more important to me, and how do I really become to know myself and become self-aware of who I am, knowing that this construction of a world that we live in sees me differently. So we know that from our everyday experience, right? That our desires, our fears, our personal objectives, and various emotions affect our choices. And that all is really about cognitive biases, because they definitely skew our apprehension of reality and interfere with our ability to think clearly, process information accurately, and reason objectively. And we're seeing much more of this now, because it's not that it didn't happen before. We're seeing it because it's accessible. Video cameras are everywhere, but this is definitely something that impacts our livelihood every single day. So I want you to think of yourself. You see yourself right here in the middle, in the where it says me right there. Yeah, that's you. There is 3 levels of identity and dialogue that I want you to think about. One is always going to be your personal identity, right? And that's how you see yourself based off self-perception and self-esteem. So think of the way that, how do you describe yourself? But then you also have your social identity, how you are defined based off a group perception that you belong to. Personal identity. Well, this shall be hard. Absolutely, it's hard because there's so many biases, that we already carry, because we all have biases, right? That kind of shape that personal identity ourselves. And then we have our societal identity, right? Think of like the world. How does the world and our global identities that we belong to are defined? And that's going to look very different depending on where you are. So our societal identities, for example, in the US, may look very differently than they do, in another continent. And that goes back to the values that specific cultures, people, countries may carry. So I want you to remember there's 3. There's your personal, how you see yourself, your social, how others basically see you based off groups that you belong, and then think of the way that the world sees you. A lot of the times we think things are always about us or perceive about us. And yes, they're true, but you also have to remember, it's like, how well do you know yourself on who you are as this individual, and how you're basically showcasing yourself to make sure that people are getting the right perception of you. And that's what we call, you see this all the time. You see this in political debates. We see a lot of fallacies, right? They're just misunderstandings of ourselves, and they impact our ability to succeed. And that doesn't necessarily always come from society or our classmates. Specifically, if you're in school, you may see that, but also from yourself. And that's part of that self-awareness and making sure that you know yourself, truly who you are. All right. So addressing identities. Can you all tell me, do you believe that identities are fixed or fluid? Go ahead and put in the chat, fixed or fluid. Identities are fixed or fluid? Fluid, 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 fluid for sure. Okay, fluid, fluid. Okay, I'm seeing a lot of fluid. Awesome. So I'm going to tell you that identities are a mix of both. Some of your identities are fixed, and some of your identities can be definitely fluid. There's things about myself. I can't change my ethnicity, my nationality, right? I can gain a nationality, but I can't change my ethnicity. So in that sense, that's going to be fixed. My age is very fluid, right? Because I can get older, and there is a specific privilege that comes with being a certain age versus when you're older. So it's just things that to think about, and that's part of that becoming a very self-aware of how the world behaves around us, specifically when we start addressing these identities. So addressing identity. See, when we're gonna be doing a quick activity with all of you, aesthetically fixed. The A will be age or generational differences. There's going to be two D's, and I actually combined those for all of you, even though they're very different, for the sake of making sure that it fits in our poll for the activity. But developmental disability, disability status with physical, cognitive, and psychological, religious or spiritual orientation, ethnicity, which I combine with and or nationality, just again because I need it to fit in the poll, socioeconomic status, sexual orientation and or gender, and then indigenous heritage. So what you're going to see in our poll is going to look something like that. All right, I just want you to keep this in mind. I'm going to have you look at it one more time, and then we're going to jump on this poll. So I'm going to ask you a set of questions. You're also going to be able to read them on the screen. I'm not going to give you that much time, but I definitely want you to follow your instinct, right? Follow that gut where it tells you, like, this is where I identify as, or I see myself most with this question that's being asked. Because this is an engagement activity, we're going to be able to see numbers of a poll. So like some people may identify in a different area than other. There's no right or wrong answer because this is really about you. And if you would like to add, you can share in the chat as to why you chose a certain reason, because I think it's something that unfortunately, like, we're not going to be able to fully discuss as a group, which would be great to be able to exchange all of our perspectives and our realities. But with that said, I still want to make sure that you all know that you're not alone in any of these questions. And that's the truth. So with that said, let's start with our very first question. All right. Can you all see it? You all should be able to see a poll. Oh, see it in there. Okay. What aspect of your identity do you feel people see when they first meet you? What aspect of your identity do you feel people see when they first meet you? What aspect of your identity do you feel people see when they first meet you? I love that. Thank you, Caleb, for showing the poll. All right, so we're seeing some votes here. Is anybody surprised by any of these numbers? I'm not surprised by some of these numbers. Let me go back to the chat. Nope. Yeah. And the numbers are still changing, right? So, you know, I will say, like, I'm not surprised that the very first thing that people feel like it's the most common thing that people see about them is their ethnicity and or nationality. It's kind of one of those things where we say don't judge a book by its cover, but you're basically being judged by quote unquote your cover because that's the first thing that people can see. Let's go to the next poll. Go for it, Caleb. What is one aspect of your identity that you feel people know the least about? What is one aspect of your identity that people know the least about? What is one aspect of your identity that people know the least about? Seeing the 20. Any surprises as the numbers are changing? You applied to two of those, yeah. But for you, Cheryl, which one do you feel like applies to you the most? Ooh, religion and socioeconomic status are like the same percentage. Do you think that's going to change? Oh, and then disabilities are coming in. Looking at this information, specifically looking at disabilities, looking at religious spiritual orientation, and then socioeconomic status, all of this matter. But these are also very difficult things to talk about. If I have a disability, do I talk about it? Am I in a safe space to talk about it? Right? Like those are questions that you probably ask yourself or have to constantly like remind yourself of how will I be accepted, and it shouldn't have to be that way, but that's again world that we live in, and so that's a hard conversation. Religion or spiritual orientation, another difficult thing to talk about because people don't like talking about it all the time. So that's also very difficult. So like sometimes we feel like we need to keep things for ourselves rather than be able to actually have a conversation about that. And socioeconomic status, another very difficult, hard conversation because how do you present yourself depending on the spectrum that you're in, right? Because socioeconomic status is a spectrum. So if I am here, how will people see me? Will they look at me as less than? Or if I'm here, are they only going to want to be part of my life because they see dollar signs? So it's a very, very tricky place to navigate for sure. So all hard conversations. Especially now that I'm surrounded with more college graduates, it's still hard to know where others grew up in the same financial situations as I did. Absolutely. And one of those things is that I will say is like, it's so hard to even share those stories because I could say like, hey, mom, I made it, but I made it. That doesn't mean that the rest of my family may not be also struggling as much as I'm supporting them, right? And it's one of the things that most of us as POC carry, right? It's not baggage, but we carry, and it's not a burden, but we carry that because our families mean the world to us. and it's something to always remember. Remembering who you are and remembering your roots for sure. So y'all, thank you almost so much for sharing that. We're going to do the next poll. So our next question for all of you is, which aspect do you feel you benefit from the most, gives you most societal privilege? Which aspect do you feel you benefit from the most or gives you most societal privilege? So you start voting. I'm not going to like scroll down just yet. Okay, maybe I am, because I started to see some. All right, looking at this. Yeah, this is also very tricky. Love to see this votes coming in. Keep voting, y'all. Let me go to the chat. Feel like everyone goes through something that people don't know about. Absolutely. All right, seeing some votes, more votes coming in. Which aspect do you feel you benefit from the most, gives you most societal privilege? Okay, so we got age so far at the top. Oh, socioeconomic status. And then, oh, things are changing. Socioeconomic status. Not surprised to see that there. Are any of you surprised to see that at the top? And if you are, tell me why. If you're not, tell me why not. Yeah. So we have socioeconomic status first. Then we have age. Yes. Yes, you're specifically if you fit a specific box in terms of your age, there is a huge benefit to that. Money can make a lot of issues go away. Absolutely. So that's yeah, you can do a lot of things with money. Sexual orientation and or gender. Absolutely. It depends on where you live, what you look like specifically, or how you may identify as, because there's a lot of folks that may, identify as one thing, and they're specifically right now in the US, they're not welcome there at all. So that's also a very hard thing to navigate. Age is a little tricky because of the threshold. Absolutely. I will say that by law, ageism actually doesn't start until like the age of 40. So anybody younger, 39 or below, quote unquote, ageism doesn't really happen. Does it happen? Probably. But federally recognized as, as a discriminatory, it doesn't happen until the age of 40. If sometimes seems like you're too young or too old, you're underestimated. Absolutely, which is why I'm saying that. Yeah. So like technically, again, discrimination doesn't happen until the age of 40 by law, but it can happen because people may say, oh, they're so young, they don't know what they're talking about, or they're so young, they don't know what they're doing, right? Because we see that happen a lot. I do believe though that in tech that has changed a bit because if you look at a lot of the founders and whatnot started off at a very young age. So that actually has brought up quite a benefit and a privilege that the society sees them as much more capable. Which is also why you all, if you think about, this is also why I think there's one of the presidential candidates who wants to change the voting age to 25. Because there's so much power in the younger generation right now as how they wanted to see the world change or the country change because of how it's shifting so quickly. All right, let's do the next one. Okay, y'all, I have, what is one aspect of your identity that you feel the least supported and you wish you had more support in? one aspect of your identity that you feel the least supported in and you wish you had more support in. Okay, I see some votes. Let's look at it. Tell me if there's anything in here that will shock you in the chat. Surprised that H was ahead of gender. Yeah. Least supported in. Yeah. This one's always there. This questions can always be so hard because you feel like you can be more than one. So it's always very difficult. Okay, so top so far is socioeconomic status. And that can mean various things to different people. So it's something to definitely keep in mind. Followed by ethnicity and or nationality or religious or spiritual orientation. Definitely people, and we could definitely unpack that a little bit. If we could, if you all wanted to put some of that stuff in the chat, but it's always one of those things where my goal with asking you these questions is like really how much you know yourself so well that you know that this is what you need in life right now. Religion trauma. So all right, let's do our last question. Our last question, you all ready? What is one aspect of your identity that you feel most proud of? One aspect of your identity that you feel most proud of. I'll scroll in a little bit. And I will say, I'm looking at the results right now. I am not surprised by our top answer right now. Not surprised at all. All right, y'all ready? What do you all think before I even show you? What do you all think the answer is? Put in the chat. The highest for this question. What do you think the highest answer for this question is? Okay, we're saying age, ethnicity. Okay. All right, y'all ready? Wow, y'all are like right on it. Yeah, and you know what makes me so happy about this specifically is that you are owning who you are. Because coming into our own skin and learning this piece specifically as individuals who, again, society doesn't want to necessarily see us succeed. This is a big deal. And I love all of this for you. No wrong answer here, right? You could definitely be the most proud as for your religion because you own that. You could be the most proud for your socioeconomic status, for your sexual orientation and or gender. Absolutely. There's no wrong answer on this one. But I am also not surprised at all by the ethnicity and our nationality being the highest because you all are really owning who you are and being true to yourselves in that. So wrapping it up, I wish I could actually bring a lot of you on stage and like talk to you and really like kind of unpack and really have this dialogue and conversation. But thinking about this and thinking about your own identity is I want to make sure that you're walking away with today of the stories that we all carry have a lot of similarities, right? And that bringing that self-awareness, you're not always alone. Self-awareness is one of the most critical skills you will develop as an individual, not only in school, not only in work, but also for yourself. And that makes you very holistic. It helps you assess how your personal character, your identity, and behavior impacts other people and yourself. And it also helps you understand how your personal character identity can have far reaching consequences, right? Because we know those are good and bad, but it will help us make wise decisions, make informed choices, which all lead to real critical thinking. And one of the things is that I'm seeing from not only from the stories I heard today, but at other Femme Fridays, that you all are doing this. And I love the community that y'all are talking about this, because sometimes I go into the classroom and my students are like, what is happening? To continue to make those amazing choices, continue to have difficult conversations, because that's what they are, just difficult conversations, and continue to challenge one another to help you understand how they see the world, but not necessarily for defense, but really to help me understand how you see the world so I could help you understand how I see the world, and making it a better place where we are lifting each other up, specifically in this community, in and out of this community, right? Rather than tearing each other down. So, with that said, y'all, thank you so much for being vulnerable with me today. I really appreciate it. And I'm happy to continue this conversation on Slack and have a Zoom chat with you all. So, have a great day. And I'll bring in Michelle Adana back on the stage.
Hey y'all. Thank you so much, Joanna. Y'all, let's give her a very big round of applause. Come on, the sun is all the way in my face, so I'm sorry. I'm like dodging it. But thank you so much. All right, y'all. I know you heard a lot of gems. I know you got your notes written down and all of that. So I'm gonna go ahead and do a giveaway question. Are y'all ready? Okay, cool. What are the three levels of identity and dialogue? Let's see. What are the three levels of identity and dialogue? What's it giving? Okay, okay, stop yelling. Oh my gosh, yes. Okay, I think I saw the purse, but let's see. Okay, I think it was. Okay, let me see. I know everyone's like, was it me? I think it was. Thank you. Tolani Terrell. Hi, congratulations. Yay. The Color Stack team will be reaching out later next week to tell you more about your gifts. But for now, thank you again, Joanna. And we're gonna go ahead and close out the day, y'all. We're gonna do this now. I know. I don't want to leave either. I know all of us are just having so much fun, right? And you have those gems, you have all of this information, you have LinkedIn's, you have a networking doc, you have the possibility of joining Color Stack as a member. A lot of amazing things are going on. This is so funny. No matter how I move my face, the mug is getting blocked, which is crazy. I know this is like the most important thing. Um, but the sun is stunning, y'all. Okay, okay. I get you a little. What is it? Vitamin D. Vitamin D per. Okay. So with that being said, that is the end of our May Fam Friday. Can you believe? Oh my god! I'm sorry to anyone with headphones on. I'm just. This is me. This is me. Okay, let me stop. Thank you so much, so much for attending, for spending your Friday with us, for learning, for gathering all this juicy information and putting it to your own toolbox for you to be even more successful. Okay, we had so many amazing gems. If you want to, could you tell me in the chat some gems that you heard today? I definitely want to see what the vibes are. Yes, someone said this was their first Fan Friday and they will definitely be back. Well, I can't wait to see you. Yes, the next one is in June. Let me tell you when. I got a calendar like the olden days. June 30th. June 30th, I'm gonna see all of y'all here again. The new grad panel was amazing. Definitely. This is fun. I love that you thought it was. That's what I'm trying to do here. I'm trying to make this like a fun situation for all of us. You know what I'm saying? Like, I get it. It's Friday. You spending the whole day at your computer, but you're getting so much out of it. I promise you. I promise you that. New grad panel was so raw and real. My favorite session. All right, my first two. Okay, congratulations to all the first. Hi. Web hooks. Web hooks. Yes, got that. So y'all love that one. With that being said, please make sure to fill out the Fam Friday feedback form. Say that fast. Fam Friday feedback form. um, and that will help with the color stack team understanding what do you want to see more of, what do you want to see less of, what should we bring in, what should we take out, what do you want to do, what should we be doing, whatever you want. Fill out the feedback form. That way you can just give your feedback and let us know what you want out of this. For real, this is for you. This community is for you. I don't know how to get that across, y'all. Bring a friend next time. Tell them about Color Stack. Again, this is an amazing resource that the Color Stack team is working so hard to put everything together behind the scenes. So really take advantage of what you have here. And also remember, Color Stack has merch. Color Stack has merch, and the tops are 30% off today. I feel like an influencer, like 30% off if you use code Michelle Adana, but not that one. But there's a code somewhere in the chat. Make sure you you look for it. With that being said, giveaway winners will be emailed next week to tell you more about what you've won and how to claim it. And y'all, my name is Michelle Adana. I'm your host. I'll be your host for the summer as well. And I can't wait to see you next time. Make sure to follow me on Instagram at Michelle Adana. Exactly how you see it, just one time, right there. And if you're in New York City, please feel free to come out to my comedy show tomorrow. It's called Muñecas Sucias, which is dirty dolls. It's not gonna be that dirty, but it's a comedy show. And we're highlighting all queer comics and BIPOC comics. So it's gonna be yummy. It's gonna be delicious. And we have some giveaways at the end of it. All of this is linked on my Instagram. I also have a community organization called I'm Finna Talk. So if you are a queer BIPOC person in New York City and you're looking for some community, we have free workshops and open mics for Black and brown folks in New York City. So the next one we have is next Wednesday, 5:31. It's called We Finna Stargaze. Come on. And it's basically an astrology 101 workshop with an open mic at the end, free giveaways all the time. And it's just a lot of fun and a lot of love and community. The same way Color Stack is for software engineers of color and folks in tech is I'm finna talk for people in New York City who just want to make friends, yo. So once again, thank you so much. Make sure to follow Color Stack on Instagram at colorstack.org, as well as get connected with them on LinkedIn at Color Stack. Make sure to fill out that feedback form. Make sure you put your information on that networking form. Make sure you reach out to people, say thank you, email, add things to your resume, take things out of your resume, do whatever you need to, and we will see you at the next Color Stack at the next Fam Friday on June 30th, right here on Air Meet. Thank y'all so much. Have a great weekend. Take some rest, y'all. Go to sleep. Drink some water. Stay in the sun. Listen to music. Do you. Believe in yourself. Bye. This is so funny. Bye-bye.